What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, one of my favorite new shows to hit Bravo. And with me today is Shan in Van for the recap. She's got an awesome channel where she recaps a lot of reality shows, pop culture news, even Netflix shows as well. Shan, do you mind telling everybody a little bit about your channel before we get into this?
Absolutely. So I'm a reality TV super fan and I'm a pop culture aficionado. So my channel focuses on reality TV recaps, which I do primarily live because I love to focus on my subs' comments, and I even bring them onto the lives because I want to hear what they have to say about the episodes. I also do a week in review where I look at what happened in pop culture, and I call that happy hour because it's COVID and we can't have happy hour. So we do it virtually.
That is awesome. I really love that touch of like bringing people on so that you can like hear firsthand their comments, because there's such a difference too between like typing and like your expressiveness when you're like sharing your opinions and stuff.
Exactly.
I really love her channel, you guys. I've got a link to it in the description box down below, so definitely make sure to check her out after we get through with this recap, okay? So to kick things off for the episode, all of the girls are still at that brunch table, the one that Mary threw for her Met Gala costume party, whatever it was. Jen apologizes to Meredith for screaming at her last week, but she never apologizes to Mary for the way that she screamed at her too, called her the grandfather, mother effer, right? And so Mary gets a little bit pissy with her because of that, like thankfully. And so what did you think about the back and forth they had when Jen said she was going to say what everyone at the table was thinking? Mary was like, I would never say the things that you say, so you're not speaking for me.
I just think sometimes Mary should listen more and talk less.
I agree. She kept talking over people in this episode. Like she really wanted everyone to 1000% back her. And anyone who didn't was a hater or two-faced, as she called Heather, right?
Oh, it was so uncomfortable, especially when you're the host. Just sit back and listen. You're the host. Just because you're the host at church or at your whatever it's not a temple, right? It's a church.
It's a church, yeah.
It's a church. Where you know, hosting means speaking. When you're a host at a lunch, you know, you can sit back and listen.
Exactly. And you know what? Like she not only could not listen to any form of criticism, but she actually resorted to calling Jen all sorts of racially coded names that I really wanted your opinion on, and everybody in the chat as well. You know, she started with "Don't get ghetto with me," and then she called Jen a hoodlum as well. I personally don't feel as though she would ever call Lisa, Meredith, Heather, Whitney, any of those names. So why was she saying that to Jen? What was the deal? Like, Mary, you're black, girl. Like, what?
Pardon the backwards pun, but she was cutting to the white meat. She wanted to hurt her.
Yeah.
Why? Sorry?
You know, I said, like, yeah, she wanted to hurt her, but these are things that affect you a lot more than they affect the Jens of the world at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like these words are meant to hurt you as a black woman more so than Jen as an Asian woman.
But I think that's why, because those are the words that have hurt her all along, and maybe she's not quick enough to come up with something else.
That is a really good point. You know, she might just be echoing everything that she heard over the years about herself, for sure. You know, and so after she calls her all sorts of racially coded words, she tells Jen that she needs to leave. She goes, bye, Jen, you can leave.
Again, another sorry excuse. Like that was your comeback? That was it?
Yeah, she really is just so kind of like weak about it, you know? And then Heather's like, you know what? At this point, Jen cannot even cry victim about the way that Mary is treating her, because she did call her the grandfather MFer. And then, you know, they're kind of even. Do you believe that they are even, or did one person hurt the other person a little bit more at this point?
I still personally think Jen hurt her more. I think that is a low blow. That's dirty. We all know it. Those are certain things you don't need to say. We all know it.
Absolutely. But you know what? At the same time, I'm kind of like, well, maybe what Mary said was true too. Maybe you did smell like hospital. They're both true. It might have smelled like hospital, and Mary's effing her grandfather.
I've talked this to death, but I still don't see how that is such a bad thing to say. It's a fact. How is that so bad?
I know. Mountains into molehills is truly the name of the game when it comes to housewives at the end of the day.
Well,
I'm seeing
that's Jen's.
Oh no, what was that? Jen's what?
That's Jen's middle name. Mountain Molehill. Girl.
Absolutely.
Take a sedative. Just chill a little bit.
You know, Stephanie's saying Mary's one rule was one person speak at a time with no one chiming in. And the first thing that Mary did was jump in. Thank you so much for saying that, because I wanted to say, I love the editing of that. Because when Mary was like to Jen, oh, I didn't know, like, you know, I wasn't allowed to chime in. They flashed back 1 hour ago. This was your rule, right?
Good point, Stephanie.
Absolutely. Like the producers here are always so freaking good at like catching people in their shade. And I love it, love it, love it. So after they kind of, by the way, Heather goes out to help Jen after she was kicked out of this party. Then she brings Jen back. Mary calls Heather two-faced. Is Heather two-faced, or is Heather just trying to make sure that everybody gets along at the end of the day?
I am sick of seeing people run after Jen. I really am. I think Jen is so used to having yes people around her. And like Whitney said in the last episode, I'm going to go check on Jen because I don't want her to get mad at me. I'm sick of it. Jen, be a big girl. Deal with your emotions. And why do you need people to go after you? To make sure you're okay. I don't like it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like a couple of other girls said that too the last time. Whitney said it too. You know, like Whitney, Heather, and I think Lisa, they were like, okay, like, it's not that I want to check in on her for any other reason, but that she'll get mad at me if I don't. And it's like, you know what? If people are scared of you, you just might be a toxic friend.
Might be. No, thank you.
Oh, and then this is where the rest of like the racial comments came in as well.
Oh, 7-Eleven.
Yes, the 7-Eleven. I want to know everyone's thoughts on this, because Mary never once denied Jen's claims. Jen was like, oh, you're talking about disrespectful? How about this? You told me that if there are like Black people outside of a 7-Eleven, you drive the other way and go to the next one because you don't want to, you know, enter into that. And then Mary, what did Mary say at the table? She just said she owned it.
She said something that she compared it to hospitals and 7-Elevens.
Violence. She said violence.
Oh, this woman. Well, at least she owns it in the word. Who was it? What's the other housewife that says own it? Oh, Rinna.
Rinna, yeah.
Does that make it okay though if you own it? No.
That's the thing. It's like, at least she's owning it, yes, and not being like, oh, you misunderstood. It's taken out of context. You know, the usual go-to that people say. But she's standing in her ignorance, and that's a little bit of a problem, rather than being like, you know what, like maybe I shouldn't be saying things like that. Like, that shocked me. It genuinely shocked me, because I thought she knew she was a Black woman this whole time. She's got a Black son.
That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
You know?
How would she feel if people saw her son in front of the 7-Eleven and went, oh, I'm out of here?
Exactly. And not to mention,
because he's light-skinned. Is this where light skin, dark skin comes into play?
You know, you do have to wonder, because another thing about Mary that was quite obvious when she was in the kitchen talking to her grandfather, in my opinion, is that she believed. Oh, sorry, her husband. My bad. I didn't do that on purpose. Sorry. When she was talking to her husband, who just so happens to be her grandpa, it was quite obvious that she does kind of like lighten her skin a little bit, in my opinion. So you do have to wonder how much of this stuff she really has internalized over the years. But at the same time, her congregation that she lives off of is quite Black, right? So where's all this coming from? People are really saying, listen, these 7-Eleven comments are very inappropriate, you know, and people are also agreeing about Jen being self-absorbed and always wanting everything to kind of revolve around her. Like, she wasn't planning to leave. She didn't even take her jacket when she, quote unquote, left the first time. She was waiting.
That I did not notice that. And you know how she was sharing that she was the oldest of 6 children? Her behavior is very much youngest child, like the storming off. Like the pieces aren't fitting together.
I agree. She reminds me very much of Tamar Braxton from the Braxton Family Values, where they're perpetual children, you know? It's like, grow up. I know, you love that show. She covers that, you guys. Braxton Family Values, if you ever want to see on that, yeah. Her saying Mary's used to manipulating her cult-like following. She's a little pathetic amongst us beautiful and strong women. Like, you know what? Like, how does she get away with this? Like, is it because those people follow her so much that they just don't question her behavior. You know, people are noticing as well that she might be in her skin. They're accusing her of colorism. You know, like it really, I think a lot of people see the telltale sign right on her elbows. What was that?
Yes, Gina Maxey, when she was in the kitchen talking to her husband, she finally wasn't wearing gloves, and I looked at her hands, and they looked a little damaged, like they were a little swollen, and her knuckles were pretty dark. I might have looked. I was being shady, okay?
I know. Listen, we're reporting. We were looking for you guys to report this.
That's it. I was reporting. Yes.
You see it everywhere, and then it really became obvious to me, and you know that saddens me even more when you combine it with like all of her comments. You know, and speaking of sad, things started off real cute when Meredith went to the airport to pick up her husband Seth. They were flirting and everything, right?
And then it flipped like that.
What do you think about Seth? Is he selfish for asking her to relocate again in her mid to late 40s?
Okay, you know, I am starting to wonder, because at first I was like, oh, he's so sweet, he's so loving, and then it flipped. I'm wondering if perhaps he is a narcissist who can put on that good show face, and then the doors close and it's all about him.
I'm starting to wonder that as well, because like he does kind of like start a little bit sweet, but then like when you kind of read between the lines, he does seem a little bit shady. Like he expects her to just jump up and relocate her life. And she said, listen, I lived in Canada for you. I lived in 2 different states and stuff. Like, what more do you want from me? We're like, our kids are empty nesting. What, like, why do I need to relocate? By the way, people say Adam's here, but I don't see Adam in my comment section. Adam,
I see him. He says, love, love, love this duo. Well, we love you.
Thank you, Adam. We love you so much.
Well, in my notes, I wrote at the very end of that scene, I wrote question mark to you Americans. I wrote resentment, because at the end I really started to feel she has a lot of resentment towards him, and as someone who was married to a class A narcissist, that's what starts to happen, like resentment. So I'm wondering, because that's also what they do, they fool you, because her friend, come on, what's friend? Lisa was like, wait, what? You guys are the best couple. Yes, because we can dress it up for you. So I'm wondering. I also have a new name for Meredith, because I've been wanting to share this with somebody, and Grace, I think you're just that. I can't call her Meredith. I have to call her #blessed. Just the way, the inflection of her voice and the way she says things. Like, does the way she speaks and her inflection, does it not get to you?
You know what? I'm thinking that is so freaking funny you say that, because it was in my notes too. That entire family, the vocal fry kills me. Her, the kid Brooks, the husband even, because Meredith, she doesn't open her mouth. You know, she'll be like, Seth and I have been together 25 years.
There's still too much animation there.
It's just so hard to listen to, you know, any of them speak. So I definitely
agree. I'm with you. What do you think the deal is with him?
Oh my God. Yeah, what do you guys think the deal is with Seth? I personally think that he's super manipulative, because you know, again, like he never even acknowledges all of her sacrifices. She tells him, listen, I moved 3 or 4 times for you already, and I have my own career. Do you think it's easy for me to rehire people in a different state? He never once acknowledges that. Ever. All he talks about is Ohio. And it's like, no, I don't know. I think he
live in Ohio. And apparently, according to a friend of mine who's been there, you don't want to live there. That's that part of Ohio.
Oh yeah, and Akron or whatever it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Scranton or something. I think Dave Chappelle is like the only person who wants to live out there right now.
Enough said. Also, I think that explains a lot about Brooks. If this is the relationship that he's been brought up around, that explains his manipulation too. Because he can manipulate his mom like that.
Absolutely. Like he doesn't really kind of stay in his own little place sometimes. Like sometimes he talks to her like he runs her. And I'm like, nope. Gina says
no
Meredith.
way, Gina. Have to go back and watch that.
Right.
You
know, I couldn't see Adam's comments, but now I'm seeing Jason's. Hey, Jason. I'm so happy you're both here. We love you guys both so much. So after all of this happens, Jen FaceTimes her husband, Sharif, to talk about the brunch fight. And then, you know, it's kind of juxtaposed with Mary talking to her husband about it. Jen said it was one of the worst experiences of her life. And then she, you know, reiterates all of the comments that Mary had been making all of this time. Real quick, you guys, I thought Sharif was so sweet. I was like, he's so sweet.
I get it now. I get it. Why she sticks around even though he's never around. I get it. I want to coach Shaw pep talk.
I know. He seems so empathetic. Like, he gave such good advice and everything. And I have to say, I feel bad for my comments last week, because when Jen talked about how she kind of had a little bit of resentment because he wasn't there when her father passed away, he didn't come to the funeral. I was like, maybe they're kind of drifting apart. Maybe he's cheating. Maybe it's something going on that he would come to this. But now I'm kind of like, you know what? He seems to really, really love her and want to build her up and encourage her. So it must have just been what it was, work.
I get it. I thought the exact same thing. We didn't get to see this side first. So it's normal that you had that reaction. It's okay.
Yeah. On Mary's half of this situation, she cries about the grandfather effer comments. So what did you guys think about her crying? It's kind of like she knew these were going to happen. She's probably going to see this her whole life. So what's the tea?
She also said to her husband, they're bullying me. How old are you? Bullying me. They're ganging up on me. You're a grown woman. Is that really the word you're going to use? They're bullying me. They're ganging up on me.
When did they gang up on her? They all saw both sides to the story. They saw why Jen would be hurt and they saw why Mary would be hurt. They remained neutral. And that was not enough for her at the end of the day.
It just shows you how Mary sees things, her perception of things. Good insight, though.
And
I also, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, what did you also?
It's your channel.
You know, one last thing I wanted to note there was that Mary keeps making this comment about how she's the top dog or something like that. I was like, really? Like, why do you keep saying this? Like, what is it to be the top dog? Like, what?
Who anointed you top dog?
Exactly. At the end of the day, Mary is the one who's trying to buy people's friendships with Louis Vuitton AirPods, right?
Yes, Grace. Yes.
What happened after that? Whitney's father. She talks about how she's going to need to send him back to a sober living facility because he decided to go to California and just live like nothing ever happened after he got out of rehab, instead of transitioning into sober living, then independent living. I really love Whitney and the storylines that she brings. You know what I mean? I think she's a really good example of all that glitters isn't gold. You know, she's beautiful, she's young, she's got this husband that loves her, she's got these wonderful kids and everything. She seems so happy and excited. But her husband, her father is, deteriorating in front of her eyes, and she's doing everything she can to help. She's spending all this money and everything. I just really love that storyline. What did you think about like the dynamic with the father?
I actually, do you mind? I'd love to talk about the dynamic with the half brother.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I don't want to say it first. You say it first.
Okay, well, it's almost like Whitney was the big sibling. So we get to meet, in case you guys didn't watch the episode, we get to meet Whitney's half sibling, and she was talking about how she wishes that he would reach out to their father, but she doesn't criticize him. She's just encouraging him, and she is giving him that sort of sandwich approach, positive, the juice, the real tea, the positive, and sandwiches it together. And I just cannot believe for 30 that she is handling this whole situation as well as she is. And so many kids who have dealt with parents with addiction have resentment, I don't want to say hate, but have a lot of animosity towards their parent. Whitney is she's such a bright, positive person with so much love in her heart. And I think that her dad is really lucky to have her. And I think that I like seeing this on TV. Like, we do not have to beat down people with addiction. We can support them. And I really liked seeing that. And I liked seeing some of her family. I want to see more of the family.
Me too. You know what? I think you put it very well. I really feel as though Whitney is a lot smarter than she comes across and that she gives herself credit for. I think she's one of those people who has been strategically downplaying their intelligence, you know what I mean? Like throughout her life. Like, she's very, very smart. And I love her. And you're right. Like she is choosing like a really strong path when it comes to her father's addiction, which is to love him and be there for him rather than to just cut him off and resent him, which it seems like a lot of the siblings and half siblings did over the years. You know what, you guys, I thought you were going to talk about how they were doing that jujitsu wrestling on top of each other. I was like,
Oh, that part. I chose not to bring that up because, you know, I'm sure people do it. Who else are you supposed to spar with?
Anyone else but my brother. Gross.
Half brother at that.
I know. I'm like, and then especially with marrying her step grandfather, and her justification is that it's not blood. I'm like, oh my God, you guys. Oh my God.
Utah, baby, Utah.
Right, Jesus. By the way, a lot of people are really agreeing with your statements about Whitney. You know, like it is a very, very good and like nuanced statement that, listen, like she gets it. She gets it. And she's trying to push her brother to help a little bit more with the father without like being really mean off the bat. And I think that that is so awesome. So I might have tuned out a little bit. What's the deal with the full sister? So she only has one full sibling. Where is she?
I didn't hear her say nothing. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Which is why I say I want to know more about the rest of the siblings, because I think we almost needed one of those family mapping trees.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. The dad came into the marriage with 2. The mom came into the marriage with 2. Then they had 2, right?
Right. Donde es? Where is everybody? And why is it on poor little Whitney, who I guess would be one of the youngest?
Exactly. Honestly, I think that at the end of the day, maybe money helps as well. Maybe everyone else lives like an average life, but she's got to fund these rehab stints. Remember, you know what? Again, on the topic of money, the brother said he's been sending the father encouraging text messages, but the father ignores them.
I don't know.
Yeah. You don't believe him?
I don't know. It's easy to say I'm sending. It's easy to say I'm sending messages when you got a camera on you. I'm just saying. Just saying.
I love your facial expressions. She's like sips tea. Oh, there you go. There you have it, you guys. Shan is not buying the brother's excuses. She's saying, listen, there's a camera crew. You can say whatever you want to say. The dad is not there to debunk that. You might be right. You might be right. I hope you're not.
Maybe.
In the next scene, Meredith's husband is packing up to go. They really chopped and screwed this scene for like promos for you to think it was a huge fight and you stormed out, eh?
And they said something that he'd been there for a couple of weeks. Like, huh?
Yeah. I know. I was like, guys, you really lied to us about what this would look like. It was a very
The producers lied to us?
Oh my God, look at you dragging me on my live, girl. I love it. I love it. But yes, they 100% lied to us. And this scene was so real and raw and heartwarming and touching to me. It's another one that I loved. I don't know why it is, but like when people are going through real things, I just love it. I feel so much more connected to them. Like they're standing in the bedroom. He's packing up. He's saying he doesn't want to deal with this separation anymore after 25 years of love and like, you know, marriage relationship. You know, he's telling her, you know, you do need time for yourself, but maybe you'll find out that like, you don't want me in this new phase of your life. And she says, I might agree with you or something like that.
See, part of me at the time was like, oh, and I started to get all verklempt and then like, no, I'm not going to fall for it. You're going to trick me. You're tricking me. What did you think? Was it sincere?
I thought it was sincere, but here's the problem is that, you know, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, it seems like this could all be fixed if he stops like chasing the next dollar all the time. You know what I mean? You've made all this money.
At what point? Yeah. At what point do you pick your life and your love over the success? Where do you stop?
Exactly. Like, you know, now I get why you're asking me if it is sincere. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, that's the thing. Like you have enough money. Look at her beautiful house. All her kids are grown up. So why don't you just stop this and like run your business from here?
Side note, do you mind if I sidebar?
Yeah, sure.
Did you notice what painting she picked? It was in the background.
No, what was it?
She picked the bear out of all of those pieces. She picked the bear, the big grizzly bear.
Oh.
Sorry, total sidebar. Okay, back.
Now I'm like flashing back to Lisa being like, can I touch it? To like everything she saw. Oh my God.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Yeah, so that's why I just have to add, I had to ask you, do you believe it? Because if you loved her that much to the point that you're crying on camera now, maybe it's time to choose. But no, you expect her to choose. You expect her to choose her business or her love.
Exactly. I don't think it's fair for him to be putting that kind of pressure on her because her business is real. It's valid. So why should she pack it up? Maybe no. You know what? Black lavender. This has been coming up for a long time that Meredith might have a side piece. I started thinking it at the cell phone gate dinner.
No. Do you let your man go through your phone?
No, but I would not clam up the way she did. Let's say I would not clam up. I'd be like, honestly, if it was hurting someone that bad, because that guy was in so much pain, you could see it all over his face. If it was hurting him that bad and he wanted to know one time, sure, go through my phone.
I don't like it. I have nothing to hide, but I don't like it. I do not like it. Why are you so insecure? And what do you think I'm hiding? You hiding something? No, I don't like it. I don't like it.
But sometimes people are cheating, and then your intuition is right. Like, could his intuition be right?
No, I think there's something with him. I don't know. My spidey senses are tingling.
I guess we'll find out as the season progresses. What does it say? Ramel Price says, hey, Grace, for some reason, a lot of people don't like Salt Lake City, but I do. The episode pissed me off because of Mary and Jen. I'm on nobody's team. They're both dramatic. Oh, we agree with you on that. They're just kind of both really looking for a moment at this point.
The bear, right, Ryan? Out of all those beautiful pieces, she picked the bear, but okay.
And we're seeing, listen, there's a lot more to fix into this house than what they are kind of letting on. Ooh, Daniela disagrees with you, by the way, Shan. Cell phones aren't personal in my marriage. We answer each other's phones all the time. I like that. You know, if your man's phone's ringing, who's calling us?
You know what? I'm an only child. I don't know. I got this thing. Mine.
Mine. Oh God, there's a lot of split decisions here. Split opinions, sorry, I should say. Oh my God, you guys. Yeah, that marriage to me, you know what? I really appreciate them letting it air out. To me, it's kind of like Marriage Story, that Netflix movie, but in real life.
Real life,
you're right. But back on the topic of Jen and Mary, you don't see Jen in this scene, but you do see Mary go out to dinner with Heather after calling Heather two-faced. She never acknowledges or apologizes for that. So what's the point of their dinner?
Shocking.
Yeah, right. And she complained about Jen not apologizing for calling her that name earlier. So funny how that works. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that dinner. Speaking of that dinner, I think it's time for me to have a soda water. Yes, it's time for me to have a soda water because, you know, it hardens your ovaries. And yeah, I don't want any more babies. So.
Opa! You know, I actually went online to search on that and it was true or something. I don't know like what the logistics are, but it does affect your ovaries in some way, fizz or whatever.
Baloney, are you serious?
Yes, just before.
Maryism. Come on now.
No, you know what? Now I'm noticing Mary is full of very interesting facts. Like, remember how many people died for the grapes for that wine they were drinking, Dom Perignon, champagne? She's like chugging, you guys.
No more babies here. Okay, sorry. Yeah, what was the point of that? Like, really? Why? Was that just a filler, or were the producers hoping something would come of it and somebody would call somebody out, but Heather is too classy because she's not messy like that? What was the point?
I don't know. I feel like Mary just kind of says, hey, fun facts all the time. You know what I mean? And she just kind of throws that out there. By the way, I'm seeing a comment here about Katie and Lala.
Yes!
I'm so excited for that next week.
That I am.
So what did they really get accomplished in this dinner? I have notes here that say Mary makes her another comment about Jen being jealous. She's not talked on. So that's the third time she's talked about this. And then she claims that Jen feels like she doesn't deserve her lifestyle because she's Black, which is weird because Jen goes a lot harder for Black people than Mary does. Mary seems to be very anti-Black. So what does she really mean by that? And then Heather was very neutral, but to us, she was like, listen, I don't really understand where she's coming from with that. I don't know. What did you think about the dinner, you guys? It didn't do it for me.
Yeah, that last scene I wish had been almost in the middle of the episode. I think Meredith and Seth's would have been a better last scene.
Yes.
Right? Like I was like, huh? I really was like, that's it? Like that's the end of the episode?
I agree. I thought it was quite weird. What else did I have? Oh, Heather had this really nice comment. She's like, okay, I relate to her choosing faith over love when it comes to getting married. She says, that she did it too. And then she makes that grandpa joke again. It never gets old. It never does.
Oh, I feel bad though, kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit. No? Okay.
You know what? I would, but like all the stuff that's come out about Mary and the lies here, I don't, because so many of her family members have come forward to debunk this claim. Like, didn't one of her uncles or cousins or something like that go to Up and Adam with a story about, listen, this is not true. Like, she was excommunicated from the church for allegedly selling drugs and having multiple affairs on her first husband. So why would grandma want her for her husband? Like, she's not a good person. She's not a good seed. So where would this come from? And then there's, you know what? She's got like this other like niece or something like that who recaps this show on YouTube. And she said pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I'm forgetting her name, but she recaps this stuff. And like, she's like, none of this is true, you guys. Like, mama did not want her. And she reiterates the story that was told on Up and Adam's channel as well, which is that she was allegedly dealing drugs and having affairs and kicked out of the church.
I'm going to have to look her up. Yes, the Up and Adam story was great. I did watch it. But, okay, so speaking of all of that, I have to say, how are her parishioners backing her up after seeing this lavish lifestyle? So hold on. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, giving you 10% of my income, and this is what you're doing with it? Wait. Hold up. Wait. So do you think that next year her church is just going to go shoo, or is she just messing with her mind so much that it won't?
I think this is a really good question. And I'm trying to answer this and not be offensive. I feel like sometimes people. No, it's me. I'm trying. Sometimes people are so desperate for hope or something to follow or to hang on to or to idolize that they ignore all of the red flags about this false idol. And I think that is a very common theme in a lot of churches. Like, how many mega churches there are where the preachers walk around in Louboutin, like, what do you call it, dress shoes or whatever. He's got a jet, got this. And people still pay in their last dollar and stuff because he represents hope or God or whatever to them. And you know what I mean? All those stories too you hear. This is what made me leave religion. I was so done after this point. When I was in uni, I was staying at my friend's sister's apartment, and she was talking to me about how the preacher at the church is currently on probation because he had done something with a child at the church. And she was talking to me about like how he should be forgiven, blah, blah, blah. Like, God said to forgive him. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is this? That like grown people can have these kinds of, what do you call it? Like rationale for stuff. Like I don't know what it is, but that's what, after that I was like, okay, I cannot. So that's why I don't think people would leave.
Okay, good to know. I've never really gone to any of those type of churches. I mean, I'm Catholic when we have our whole other, what do you call that, rabbit hole? So
yeah, okay. Exactly. I don't know. Sometimes people blindly follow things, and a lot of people are saying, like that's just how they are. They live lavish. People accept it. They don't mind that they're poor and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Well, hopefully she donated Jen's Louis Vuitton AirPods to the church in like a raffle or something.
She probably had it as a raffle. You pay $10 and you might win this. Then she makes more than the value of the damn AirPods.
Oh, damn it, right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people saying here, listen, that storyline is fake. A lot of people don't like, you know what? If Jason is still here, I used to fight him when he was on my channel for Mary. I used to really like her. I was like, she's crazy, but like, it's the good kind. You know what I mean? But now I'm like, oh, she might be like malicious after all these stories that I'm hearing about her. And so I'm kind of like,
she's well. I just don't think she's well. I think, yeah, I just don't think she's well. We'll leave it at that.
I know. I used to think it was just like her being funny and her being quirky, but now I'm like, okay, I'm retiring my Stan card for you. From 5 episodes in, I'm already like switching teams.
Tired, or is it like in the shredder?
It's in the shredder. I can't go back after these 7-Eleven comments and then the stuff she said to Jen being like ghetto or a hood, whatever. What did she say? Hood booger or something like that? I was like, okay, girl.
Darn it. Now I can't remember. Yeah, thank God it wasn't anything super, super offensive that really sticks in my mind, but they were bad enough.
Yeah, she said a lot of really bad stuff. So
Hoodlum, and yeah, what was the other one?
Don't get ghetto.
Yes, that's right. Don't get ghetto and hoodlum. Ooh.
Yeah.
And she's not super. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, she's not super what?
I was gonna say it's not like she's a very old where she is. It's just stuck. Like she's what, like late 40s. She should know better.
I think that it's whatever it was that she was doing drug-wise that might have kind of messed with her at this point. Because, you know, when you do too much of something, because I talk about this with people, like she has like the shakes or something like that, and she's always blinking all crazy. I'm like, you might have fried your brain a little bit.
That was in my notes during the fight. She has the Ramona eyes, which I thought would be thyroid, but no, you're onto something when I say she's not well. Girl, Grace, you got her figured out. Yes.
I'm trying, y'all. And that kind of just wraps up the episode, you guys. And a lot of you guys were mentioning this in the chat about the Vanderpump Rules girls popping up next week. We see Katie Schwartz Maloney, or Maloney Schwartz. She grew up in Utah. So did Lala. And they're friends with Whitney. They're all around the same age, at least her and Katie. So that's going to be quite interesting. I hope it's a good crossover episode. Are you looking forward to it, you guys? Do you think it's going to be good?
I always like a crossover. I really do. I love a crossover.
Yeah, me too. It's always fun. It's kind of like seeing your teacher outside of school. You're like, oh my God, you exist out of the show? Oh.
I love that analogy.
Oh, thank you guys so much for helping us catch up on what it was that Mary had called Jen a little bit earlier. And I see, you know, this is a very common thing that people are kind of wondering, like, what's going on with Mary? Was it all of the alleged drugs that she was allegedly doing? And like, she, at the end of the day, you're not supposed to be the greatest, like, kindest person to be a good reality character, unfortunately. And that's what makes her so good for this show, is that she'll do and say whatever it is. By the way, Shan, a lot of people are really, really looking forward to the Vanderpump Rules girls next week. That looks so good. You guys,
I'm here for it.
I know. You guys will be getting a recap of that as well, for sure. But thank you so much again for being here to watch us talk about this week's episode. We had so much fun talking with you guys. And if you want more Shan, more reality recaps from her, definitely make sure to check her out, Shan in Van on YouTube. I've got the link to her channel in the description box down below. So definitely make sure to head over there and check her out.
Shan, you, Grace.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. It was so awesome to have you.
Thank you for having me. It meant the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Of course. Bye, everyone. See you next time.